Hello, thank you for joining us for home worship. For this weekend, for October 10th, would be the Sunday. Now, October 10th on Sunday morning here at the church, we will be having the blessing of the animals. And so that's what we will be doing. And this sermon is something for everybody who's interested in the series to watch online, because the sermon having to do with the blessing of the animals will be a little different. And this one will be in line with the sermon series. I had a choice to make. I could either show you this little sores that my dermatologist put underneath these Band-Aids. Don't feel pity for me, at least not yet. We haven't got the biopsies back yet, but we'll see if I'm going to need a little bit more Mohs surgery on my forehead, maybe. But yeah, I just had these biopsies done, and I need to record this sermon, so there it is. I had a choice to make. You could either maybe videotape myself from the eyebrows down, but I didn't know what else to do. But today we're talking about the brothers and the rivalries in the book of Genesis, in the beginning of the story of the Hebrew people. And I will be reading from Genesis chapter 32, verse 11 through 33. And this is the Common English Bible. Jacob got up during the night and took his wives, his 2 women servants, his 11 sons, and he crossed the Jabbok River's shallow water. He took them and everything that belonged to him, and he helped them across the river. But Jacob stayed apart by himself, and a man wrestled with him until dawn broke. When the man saw that he couldn't defeat Jacob, he grabbed Jacob's thigh and tore a muscle in Jacob's thigh as he wrestled with him. The man said, "Let me go, because dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I won't let you go until you bless me." He said to Jacob, "What is your name?" He said, "Jacob." And then he said, "Your name won't be Jacob any longer, but Israel, because you struggle with God and with men and won." Jacob also asked and said, "Tell me your name." But he said, "Why do you ask for my name?" And he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, because I've seen God face to face, and my life has been saved. As the sun rose, Jacob passed Peniel, limping because of his thigh. Therefore, Israelites don't eat the tendon attached to the thigh muscle to this day, because he grabbed Jacob's thigh muscle at the tendon. May God add his blessing to the reading of his holy words. Now, you heard me say in the very beginning that this Sunday would be about these sibling rivalries in Genesis. And I don't think you see any sibling rivalry there. But what you need to understand is that all of Scripture comes to us in context. And so the context for this passage of this famous scene of Jacob wrestling the angel, this mysterious man that pulls his hip out of the socket, the context for that is Jacob crossing the Jabbok to be reunited with his brother Esau. This famous story happens in the middle of Jacob's trip to meet with Esau. Remember Esau, though? The older twin of Jacob and Esau? The one that Jacob defrauded of his birthright? The brother whom Jacob and his mother Rebekah conspired to steal away Esau's blessing? This brother. The larger story of this trip across the Jabbok is important because of the gracious way Esau accepts his brother's remorse after all these years. I've always had a soft spot for Esau. If you watch my series, Genesis in January, you'll see, and this happened in February, because of course we're in the 23rd chapter, 33rd chapter as well, as like the first and second day of February. You'll see how I just have always felt a soft spot for Esau. I mean, he did get defrauded of his birthright. He did get tricked out of the blessing from his father Isaac. And it was Rebekah and Jacob alone that perpetrated this against Esau. And you'd think, well, they left Esau quite in the lurch. How are these brothers ever going to get along? So Jacob, later in life, after he's gone to Laban, worked very hard, married his daughters, has the 12 children. Jacob sends, well, I don't know if it's 12 quite yet, but Jacob sends Esau all this stuff, all these gifts to be in touch with him and to, in theory, placate his anger that he likely has toward his brother because of all that has transpired. And what does Esau say? What is all this? I have enough. You keep it for yourself. It's like an older brother looking out for his younger brother. You gotta love this guy. And then you see this whole thing happening, transpiring between the time that Jacob leaves his father-in-law Laban and roams around and finally settles right outside of Shechem. And now outside of Shechem will be another story, famous story from the Bible, which we sometimes refer to as the rape of Dinah or Dinah. And that's the 13th child of that we never talk about because she's a girl and she doesn't have a tribe, but she's one of the children of Jacob. And she is seemingly raped by the prince of Shechem. So that's another story for the brothers and a situation that happens there. But these are the bookends for this sort of tale about reuniting Jacob and Esau as brothers. It seems to be the first order of business after leaving his father-in-law for Jacob to see his brother Esau. And see him he does. With all that preparation for the reunion, all these gifts that he's sending, getting everybody up and getting them across the Jabbok and that little troop of people in the middle of the night. Why does he do this? All this preparation done on Jacob's part because of the terrible history between the brothers. And one would think that this would be a very tense reunion. We all know what that's like, right? Awkward moments between siblings or former spouses or parent and child. We know what that's like. And so we can totally relate to the scripture because this is what they're preparing for. Oh, this is going to be rough. I wonder if he hates me. I wonder what he's going to say. I wonder if I'm going to be able to stand it. Maybe that's what Jacob's thinking. Because he basically grovels before Esau. So he's really contrite, really sorry. He comes before Esau with just so much repentant heart and love. But as soon as Esau sees him, he embraces him. He embraces him and kisses him, and everything is okay. Esau, the overgracious older brother. And the passage for today is right in the middle of the preparation and then the reunion. And my theory is that all of us could pull a page out of Jacob's wrestling with the angel as a learning for us on how to be prepared for reconciliation. That night wrestling with the angel could have prepared this brother for a hopeful end to the story of the two brothers. You don't see anything more about Esau in scripture again, their relationship to one another. This is kind of the last hurrah. And all that wrestling with the angel, it really does look like it was preparation for a hopeful end for the story of the two brothers. From day one, Jacob saw Esau as a rival. From like before day one, remember he's grasping at his heel as he leaves the womb? But I'm doubting that Esau saw it the same way. I say that because Esau never conspired with anyone to steal a blessing or swindle a birthright, right? Esau was the one with everything to lose. Jacob was the one with everything to gain. And Esau seemed to be so happy to see his brother that treated him so badly. What is that about? What is that kind of love? So when Jacob tells Esau that seeing him is like seeing God, well, God is seen in this scene. I just see God as the God of second chances. And more than that, God is the God of there's always more than enough for everyone, because you see, Esau didn't see anybody as a rival, well, not that we know of from scripture, because he knew that there was enough. When all those gifts come to him from his brother Jacob, he says, you keep them for yourself. I have enough. There's enough. We don't need to be rivals. It's not a zero-sum game with God, with this God. There's no need for rivalry. There's plenty for everyone. And Esau seems to know. And that's why things worked out pretty well for him too. Jacob needed some help to get there. That's where this encounter with the angel, or the man that wrestled with him all night, comes into play. Here he is limping out of this encounter with a socket out of his hip. Jacob was preparing and developing. He was growing in stature, to quote the words of the gospel writer Luke when he talked about Jesus. We get to see the development of Jacob over time. He took the right posture with his slightly older brother. And love was what grew out of this meeting across the Jabbok. And so today, we take a page from Jacob's book. Maybe we are a more gracious person. Maybe we do see things the way Esau saw things. There's enough for everybody. Why should we be rivals? Of course, I want to see my brother Jacob. I don't care. The past is the past. I have enough. He has enough. We've got enough. Maybe that's where you are. And sometimes that's where I am too. And sometimes I'm also in need of a night of wrestling to prepare myself for a reconciliation. And that's where Jacob was. He left his father-in-law, and the first thing on his mind was, you know what? I need to see that brother of mine, Esau. And I need to come before him. Be contrite and be kind and be open. And in there, Esau and Jacob become similar, right? They become, instead of rival siblings, they become brothers. And even in that scene, you see Esau inviting Jacob, come with me to Seir. We'll go together. We'll travel together. And there's some circumstances that I don't really understand, because it's animal husbandry, that Jacob does not go with his brother. But he's invited to walk alongside him as an equal. And I think that's the beauty of this passage for us, that we can be reconciled to God, to one another, especially to those whom we know intimately, like our siblings, former spouses, current spouses, parents, children. We can be reconciled, and that we can look at the world the way Esau did. There's enough for everyone. There's no need for rivalry and jealousy. And also, sometimes we need to go to the mat with the angel to get prepared to be in relationship with our fellow creatures. And so, just a thought for today about reconciliation's value over rivalry. God bless you.